Growth prescription IMF's Medicare India medium term outlook merits policy attention. The latest World Economic Outlook released by the International Monetary Fund IMF has some good tidings and some ominous assessments. The good news that largely pertains to the short term is that a much feared global recession has been averted. The global war against inflation almost won and growth is holding steady. The US is likely to grow faster this year than anticipated earlier, balancing out lower estimates for some large European nations. Among developing countries, the IMF downgraded growth hopes for West Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa and Central Asia as conflicts and unrest disrupt production and shipping. However, brighter prospects for emerging Asia, enhanced by higher public investment in China and India, offset those downward pressures. The IMF expects the world to grow 3.2% in 2024 as in 2023. The moderation in inflation has been partly attributed to the unwinding of shocks since the COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukraine war, but tight monetary policies played a crucial role too. It noted with inflation returning near central banks' targets, there is now room for pivoting monetary policy to a neutral stance and supporting economic activity. Yet, the IMF has cautious about food price pressures again in some emerging countries and services inflation being too high at almost double the pre-pandemic levels. For India, the IMF has maintained its GDP growth estimate at 7% for 2024 and 2025, followed by 6.5% next year, but linked the moderation in growth from last year to the exhaustion of pent-up demand accumulated during the pandemic. Some of these is visible in car and consumer non-durable sales, with urban demand stubborn. A Reserve Bank of India index backs second quarter GDP growth at 6.8%. It was 6.7% in the first. A favorable monsoon and improved rural incomes could lift the tide in coming months, but may not be taken for granted yet. Of concern, however, is the IMF's prognosis that global growth should reach a mediocre 3.1% in 5 years, underwhelming relative to pre-COVID trends, with protectionist industrial and trade policies gaining more traction in years economy may hinge more on domestic momentum, but weaker exports and invest flows will not help. The central's recent governments on the reform agenda have signaled the most now needs to be done in the states. While that is the tourism, central policymakers also need to work doubly hard to lift potential growth, be it to make India a more open economic by lowering import tariffs and FDI barriers, as the World Bank has mooted, as well as undertake ambitious domestic reforms to improve competition, economic integration, and spur private investment suggested by the IMF. World's tidings, Suchna, ominous, Amangal, Hinge, Kaj. Thank you.